Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. It's July 15th, 2018. I'm Eric. I'm here at beforeitsnews.com, and this was posted on July 2nd. I was in jail, so I could not cover it. So I'm going to cover it now because it's important. FEMA orders 2,500 gallons of hydrogen cyanide. What the fuck do they need hydrogen cyanide for? I'm going to go over this entire article because there's a lot of important information in it. Information that you may know or probably don't. So, the Federal Emergency Management Agency has ordered 2,500 gallons of hydrogen cyanide from Brazilian chemical manufacturer Ascol Química, says a FEMA employee who wishes to remain anonymous. The agency, he said, solicited bids from 15 foreign manufacturing plants before selecting Química as a supplier. This purchase marks the third time in 12 months FEMA will have used foreign distributors to procure lethal items that could be used to maim or kill law-abiding Americans. Forget the law-abiding part. In January, FEMA received a shipment of 500 Chinese-made smart guillotines, and in March they secretly ordered thousands of guillotine blades from a Mexican metal factory in Jerez. The cyanide purchase is merely the latest example of FEMA's treacherous behavior. These camps are to be operated by FEMA should martial law need to be implemented in the United States, and all it would take is a presidential signature on a proclamation and the Attorney General's signature on a warrant to which a list of names is attached. Ask yourself if you really want to be on Ashcroft's list. It's not Ashcroft either. It's, oh God, man, the Attorney General. His name is escaping me at the moment. The Rex 84 program was established on the reasoning that if a mass exodus of illegal aliens crossed the Mexican-U.S. border, they would be quickly rounded up and detained in detention centers by FEMA. Rex 84 allowed many military bases to be closed down and to be turned into prisons. Operation Cable Splicer and Garden Plot are two sub-programs which will be implemented once Rex 84 program is initiated for its proper purpose. Garden Plot is the program to control the population. Cable Splicer is the program for an orderly takeover of the state and local governments by the federal government. FEMA is the executive arm of the coming police state and thus will head all operations. The presidential executive orders already listed on the Federal Register also are part of the legal framework for this operation. Hydrogen cyanide, sometimes called prussic acid, is a colorless, lethal, and flammable liquid that boils slightly above room temperature and can be dispersed indoors as either liquid, aerosol, or gas. Weaponized during World War I, it was used as a chemical weapon against the Central Powers by France and the United States and Italy. It is now listed as Schedule 3 under the Chemical Weapons Convention. Our source could not confirm FEMA's motivation for acquiring the deadly toxin, but he believes FEMA will distribute it among internment camps and prison barges. The purchase order, he said, requested the 5,000 gallons be delivered in 50 hermetically sealed 55-gallon drums. So it's not just 2,500 gallons, it's 5,000 gallons. Additional instructions illustrate FEMA's deceptive nature. The agent in charge insisted Askell Quimca stencil the words "portable water" on each container. So why would they need to hide this purchase? Why would they need to stencil portable water on each of these containers if they didn't have nefarious intent? The camps all have railroad facilities as well as roads leading to and from the detention facilities. Many also have an airport nearby. The majority of the camps can house a population of 20,000 prisoners. Currently, the largest of these facilities is just outside Fairbanks, Alaska. The Alaskan facility is a massive mental health facility and can hold approximately 2 million people. If you've seen or if you've been on social media at all the last 2 days, chances are you've seen the report about FEMA activating and sending its entire civilian corps to Atlanta last week for training, which means that something big is about to go down in the United States. You can be sure whatever it is, it's not good. Why? Because FEMA people are a lot like UN troops being somewhere they're only there because either 1. There is massive violence and the sovereign government cannot handle it alone. 2. There's about to be. You never see UN troops stationed at lovely vacation destinations, do you? That ought to make a person wonder why there are so many UN troops on U.S. soil and why they've been conducting massive military operations here for over a year, but we'll get to that later. For now, if you haven't heard about the FEMA Civilian Corps being activated, the following video will give you a brief summary, and then I'll elaborate on much more you should know about afterwards. I'm not going to play the video. The link is in the description box below. The remainder of this post is going to be set up the way I've set up several posts in the past that have been widely popular on various issues, which is by putting the information in a timeline format. What could FEMA possibly be up to? I don't profess to have the answers to anything, but because I write about FEMA and our corrupt government's plans for continuity so much, I searched through the last several months of posts, and several stories jumped out immediately as potentially being part of a much larger narrative. In the video below, I give a brief overview of at least 4 national storms brewing that look like they could be making their way toward converging into one massive storm, aka National State of Emergency, which is when FEMA gets called in. After the video, the timeline of stories presented begins with the oldest and ends at the most recent in a timeline filled with what are seemingly related and quite disturbing news. In my video above, I mentioned that there are at least 4 storms brewing that could possibly be the reason FEMA was activated and sent its entire civilian corps to Atlanta last week for training. Those were, number 1, a looming national disaster like earthquakes and other things. Number 2, FEMA camps needed because of a massive outbreak of tuberculosis or whatever other diseases are coming. Number 3, economic collapse. The media has sworn a blood oath to keep it hushed, but you deserve to know the truth because in this treasonous agenda, you and your loved ones are the sacrificial lambs. You'll discover the real secret reason why the U.S. economy hasn't collapsed yet, and exactly when the dollar will turn into dust and our streets into hell. What do you do in the next 5 seconds, or what you do in the next 5 seconds, will determine if you and your family survive or die. Prepare your family for survival. Learn how planning ahead can help you protect your family, your home, and your belongings in a dangerous time, martial law, EMP, or natural disaster. Remember, I'm not claiming to know precisely why the FEMA Civilian Corps was all activated and called to Atlanta for training. Each of my previous posts in the timeline below normally have information and videos from multiple sources. That means when the timeline is looked at collectively, there are dozens and dozens of stories from just as many authors, from just as many news sources, and then my own additional information as well. Therefore, if you find a post with something incorrect, then congratulations, I'll send you a medal. Here's some food for thought, though. The media has reported virtually none of this, because they are as much a part of the problem as anything. So rather than trying to seek out or pinpoint any minor mistake I may have made, then bombard me with nasty comments or personal insults, why not accept that I am flawed, and then focus your attention on the several dozen items that are spot on, and ask yourself why the media is deliberately not covering any of it, when the stories are absolutely major news and should terrify any sane person as to why they are being kept in the dark. Just a thought for you. Many people have used it as a replacement for addictive prescription pain medicine. Wild lettuce is unscheduled by the FDA, meaning it is legal to forage, to grow, and own without a prescription or license, just like the Native Americans used it to heal their pain. Check the video below for more information about this miracle plant. This post is huge and contains a ton of information, but the following gives you a brief summary. The gentleman on screen in the video below says that a secret emergency FEMA meeting took place the second week in April as a result of a critical mistake made by the U.S. government while conducting underground military operations. He says the meeting were scientists, seismologists, geologists, and other experts who analyzed what they referred to as the potential for a major separation of landmass, whatever that is, as a result of the mistake. Also note that there has already been mention of swarms of earthquake activity and continuing to ship in as many refugees as possible, knowing how many are already infected with tuberculosis certainly could be considered an engineered pandemic. Do you remember the story last summer that the U.S. was bringing in way more Muslims than most Americans realized through legal channels such as the United Nations Refugee Program and various visa programs, but reports surfaced indicating Obama also had set up a pipeline using DHS buses along the southern corridor to help the illegals get into the country. Under Obama, the federal agency whose job it is to protect the homeland is the very agency that was putting us at the most risk. Although FEMA has already amassed a huge arsenal of conventional and unconventional weapons to use against patriots in the event of a civil insurrection, the biochemical weapons signify a new chapter of warfare on the American public. If FEMA had its way, he said, half of America would be dead and the other half would be enslaved in FEMA camps. FEMA, he added, routinely abducts and murders homeless people to determine the most efficient and cost-effective method of population control. They'll probably round up 20 or 30 and toss them in a room filled with hydrogen cyanide gas. They'll figure out to the 10th decimal place how many cubic centimeters of gas it takes to kill a single person and weigh that against the cost of a bullet or a swipe of a guillotine blade. Cost isn't the only factor. They seek the best way of inspiring fear in people. Imagine if you're a child and you see your mommy and daddy thrown into a gas chamber. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Asked why FEMA outsources execution devices rather than simply manufacture or purchase domestically, our source said foreign purchases help blunt accountability should FEMA's sinister agenda from the public, Asked why FEMA outsources execution devices rather than simply manufacture or purchase domestically, our source said foreign purchases help blunt accountability and shroud FEMA's sinister agenda from the population. Research shows death by hydrogen cyanide is not a particularly enjoyable experience. If ingested, internal organs blister and burn, and eyeballs can boil and burst in their sockets. Liberals, progressives, socialists, and communists are apparently not long for this country. One possibility is real live gas chambers for liberals because they are not only stupid, they're obnoxious. Liberal, progressives, socialists, and communists are social, cultural, and political cancers, pushing the elimination of our national borders, foisting transgender frecklessness upon society, demanding everyone else pay for their health care, demanding free college, and giving the finger to societal norms. Perhaps plans are well underway in government to kill them all. A grand encyclopedia of a country meet for all, whether wisdom, country remedies, and herbal cures, cleaning solutions, pest purges, firewood essentials, adobe making and bricklaying, leather working, plant dyes, farm foods, natural tea and tonics, granola bread making, beer brewing and wine making, jams and jellies, canning and preserving, sausage making and meat smoking, drying foods, down-home toys, paper making, candle crafting, homemade soups or soaps and shampoo, butter and cheese making, fishing and hunting secrets, and much more. So, I thought this video was going to be a little bit longer than this. And it is going to be a little bit, but not much. What do you think? Why does FEMA need smart guillotines? Why do they need cyanide or hydrogen cyanide gas? Why do they need replacement blades for these guillotines? I've told you over and over again. Over and over again. This is going to happen. Which is why I started making these videos. And I am tried to wake people up. But guess what? People don't want to be awake. They want to remain in their slumber, and they want to die. Because if they didn't want to die, then they would be paying attention. I waste no more effort trying to wake those people up, and I consider them a loss. Question is, are you? Are you awake? And are you a loss? I hope not. Remember, people, kill the state before the state kills you.
I keep my head up, and you in this.
I'm just getting warmed up. This is Von Clausewitz shit. Total fucking war. I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.